Hey guys, welcome to the Field of 68 YouTube channel. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button and you'll get more college basketball content just like this.
Look, the news of the sport yesterday, surprising news out of nowhere, was Bob Huggins, who went on a Cincinnati radio show. He apologized late afternoon after he used an anti-gay slur during an appearance on that show. Look, there's no excuse for what he said. Incredibly stupid would be what I would frame it as. There's just no reason to ever go there. If you listen to the radio show, it had a very weird vibe. I'll just say that. I mean, there are a lot of jokes being thrown around that were off color in general leading up to the slur that Bob Huggins used. Jeff, I know that you were reached out to yesterday after this happened to give an official, I don't know, statement, commentary, whatever you want to call it, on what you think happened here and what should happen to Bob Huggins. What do you think should happen to Coach Huggins?
I would like to think that Huggins realized what a poor choice of words that he used in this. And again, it was a radio interview with people that he was obviously familiar with. They were kind of egging him on a little bit. He was telling a story. There's no excuse for what he said. There's no excuse for using that word. But I just feel like, in this day and age, we get crucified and do get canceled for one word. And I hope that isn't the case for Bob Huggins. I mean, he seemed deeply apologetic in the statement. I want to talk to him. I want to hear from him. But ultimately, again, for all the good he's done for people in this sport and even out of the sport, for people, when you talk to enough coaches, when you talk to enough players about what this guy has meant to them, I hope he doesn't get fired for this. But again, I think he's going to have to come out and we're going to have to see Bob Huggins. And these statements are hard.
Well, I'm going to jump in here for Jeff because Jeff's Wi-Fi is frozen. But look, the issue that I have with the statement that was made is that was very clearly not something that came directly from Huggins, right? That came from a PR person, that came from whatever lawyers that West Virginia has contracted to be able to write that thing out. The question that I have there's two, Greg. The first is that if you go back and you look to, I want to say the fall of 2021, Huggins invited Tom Brenneman into his practice, right? Tom Brenneman, of course, being the radio announcer for the Reds that got caught on a hot mic using a homophobic slur, the same homophobic slur that Bob Huggins used, and he lost his job and lost his career over it. And Huggins should have been, and he is very, very well aware of what happens when you use that word in a public setting when you shouldn't use it. So I don't want to hear any excuses. The apologies kind of when it is a statement that is put out on a graphic on a press release by the program, that rings hollow to me. I need him to get up there on the stage, get asked questions by reporters, and apologize that way. That way, I want to see that from him before I say it. The other part of it is that if you are, for any public company, right, any company, period, if you are the biggest public-facing employee and you use that word in a public setting like that, where are you going to survive that? Right? I don't know where you do. So I think this is going to put West Virginia to the test to see how much Huggins really means to that program, really means to that team, because I think that there is a very real argument to make that he should be fired. Personally, I don't know. I think that it is something where it's very difficult for me to make the argument that he should keep his job. I think that's the way that I would phrase it. I don't envy the person that has to make that decision, for someone that is now a Hall of Famer, for someone that is one of the icons of the sport. But at the end of the day, he went on a public radio show and twice said one of the words that you absolutely cannot say as a public-facing employee. There's no excuse. I don't know how you walk this thing back. I don't think that you can. And if he ends up losing his job, I don't think that he has anyone to blame but himself.
Yeah, to your point on Tom Brenneman, he did lose his job after his incident occurred. Again, he was a Cincinnati host, right, or a play-by-play for Cincinnati, so similar spot to where this radio show occurred. Does tenure matter here? I mean, it shouldn't, I think, right? Like if Bob Huggins wasn't Bob Huggins, I think he's probably gone. But the elephant in the room is he's Bob Huggins. He's a legend in this game. He's been here for forever. It's a much more difficult decision to fire Bob Huggins when he says this than like some fifth-year head coach who has no history as a potential Hall of Famer in college basketball, right?
Yeah, but the other part of the flip side of that is he's a guy who has how many years left in his coaching career, who has been to how many NCAA tournaments in the last 5 years? I think he has one NCAA tournament win since 2018. So it's not like you're firing a guy that would be at the peak of his powers, right? And it saddens me that if this is the end of Huggins' career, that this is the way that it ends, that this is what people will remember him for, right? As opposed to being the guy who, if you go talk to any player that's played for him, like they will literally run through a wall for that dude, right? Even if it's not someone that has the same political leanings as them. He coaches people hard. You know what the cliche is: you coach hard, you love harder, right? That's the only way that you're able to get guys to play for you. And I know guys that have played for him, and I know what they think about him as a human being. So I do think that it would be a sad thing if this is the way that his career ends, but again, like he said, one of the things that you absolutely cannot say, point blank, period. He said one of the words that you absolutely cannot say. And I just, if this is the way that it ends, I don't think that there's anybody that can sit here and say that he should not have lost his job over this. So it's sad. It sucks. And I hate that this is what we have to talk about in the offseason. I hate that these are the conversations, right? But it's very difficult for me to sit here and put together an argument that says that he should keep his job for any reason beyond the fact that he is Bob Huggins, right?
Yeah.
Our partner for today's episode is Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 during the college basketball season, and I loved the impact that it had on my energy levels. I'm a big coffee in the morning guy, but by the time that the afternoon would hit, I needed another boost. AG1 helped me tremendously, especially on those days when I didn't want to get up off the couch and go hit the gym. Their tagline is AG1 is comprehensive health and the power of habit in one. And man, that could not be more true. It's nearly impossible to eat and drink in a healthy manner in the month of February and the month of March when you are in my business. And AG1 was exactly the supplement that I needed to improve my gut health and cover my nutritional basis for the day. I've continued that into April. I've continued that into May, and I'm going to continue that the rest of the summer. All I have to do is mix a scoop of AG1 with some water or maybe add it into a smoothie, and I'm ready to go. Do it after lunch, and you'll be ready to go for the rest of the day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/field68. That's field 68 FIELD, the number 6, the number 8, and you can get yours now. So check it out and help support this show. Thanks.
As difficult as it is for us to make the argument that he should keep his job, it's also incredibly easy to just not say what he said. Like, this is one of the things that always comes back to me whenever there's controversy or a mistake made at a high level from a public facing figure, is like, it's incredibly easy to just not do whatever these scandals often are. And clearly it was said as if it was a humorous joke. It's just not a humorous joke. Not in this day and age.
There's nothing funny about it.
Not ever. So what do you think? Does West Virginia, and I will say this as well, we lost Jeff Goodman quickly into the show. We're trying to get him back. Hopefully we'll get him back here any minute. Is there a timeline you expect a firm answer from West Virginia on this, Rob?
I think they need to take their time on it. If you're going to make a decision this big, I think you need to take your time on it. But at the same time, I do think that the longer that this plays out, the more likely it is that he will keep his job because the public furor will kind of die away. So, it's man, it sucks. Goodman, you are now back. Let's wrap it up. Give me 1 more minute. Finish your thought on Huggins, and then let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I was saying, is Comcast was so kind to take care of me here. I think West Virginia right now, from talking to people close to the situation, Obviously, they're looking into it. They're going to talk to him. It's obviously above the new athletic director's head. This goes to the presidential level at West Virginia. I think it's ultimately going to come down to some of the perception around there and some of the reaction, and obviously how Hugs is able to communicate how contrite he is after the comments he made. But I expect something
Goodman, I
here.
said while you were gone, the one thing I said is that he needs to get up on a podium and answer to this and be apologetic in person.
Sure.
You can't hide behind a statement written by a lawyer and a PR. When you say something like that and you offend a lot of people with that word, you have to get up and you have to. We need to see you apologetic and understanding that you made a pretty massive mistake.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And I think he knows he screwed up, obviously, at this point. And the question is, are they okay with it going forward? Because, here's one thing I'll say is a lot of the words, and I'm not excusing Hugs in any way, but a lot of the words, some of the words that are not acceptable now, and I'm a little bit older than you guys, were acceptable even when I was growing up. And again, Hugs should know better. Obviously, you should never use that word now or 30 years ago, but it was accepted at one point is all I'm saying. And that's the part right now that I think we've got to understand is that some of the verbiage, this word shouldn't have been in anybody's vocabulary. And Hugs admitted that he screwed up here, but some of the verbiage that is used or was used years ago, that's not now. Listen, some of these guys are older. They're older and they don't understand it. And they use words that they remember hearing with their family or growing up. So it is what it is. But like I said, I hope Hugs doesn't get fired because of this, because ultimately he's done a lot of good over the course of his career in his life for people.
Yeah, last thing I want to say before we move on is that I understand he comes from a different generation. I don't accept that as an excuse for in this instance. So
that's fair. That's fair. I agree.
Yeah, truth is the sport of college basketball has changed immensely in 30 years. So has the world. You can't build a team the same way you would have 30 years ago. You can't do many things you did 30 years ago or say many things you did. All right, final one-word answer from both of you on this, then we'll move to the next topic. Is Bob Huggins the coach at West Virginia game 1 of this season? Yes or no?
I say no. I say he's suspended at the very least. Yeah. At the very least, he's not coaching the opener.
Yeah, Rob? He's not coaching game 1. I think that I would say that it's a legitimate 50-50 coin flip as to whether or not he will still be employed by the university at that point. Thank you for watching the Field of 68. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, hit that like button, share this link with your friends, or check out the description for some other places that you can consume Field of 68 content.